Now, the Ukraine-Russia war has already entered into day 23, with Kyiv reeling under Moscow's shelling constantly. Ukrainian cities continue to be under attack by the ruthless Russian troops. From Kyiv to Mariupol, Ukraine cities are left bruised and battered. According to the mayor of Lviv, 6 cruise missiles have hit the city, causing significant damage. In Ukraine's capital city, Kyiv, one building was seen in raging fire, plume of smoke emerging for hours. While in Kharkiv, another city, for example, has one of the largest markets in Eastern Europe. Barbashovo was set ablaze. A kindergarten school also was left in ruins after the attack in Kharkiv. Mariupol theatre turned shelter was bombed by the Russian army and is now in ruins. In Kherson, citizens, we are being told, refused to accept handout from the occupying army. In Vyshegorod, Ukrainian flag was removed from the public administration building. Russian strikes in Chernihiv has claimed 53 lives. One by one, devastating images coming in from an example where sharp flames can be seen ravaging in the air.
Маріуполь, наш Харків, наш Чернігів, Київська область, Ізюм і всі інші наші міста-герої, яким дуже складно, дуже. Ми робимо все і робимо всі. Абсолютно. Наша армія, поліція, ДСНС, гуманітарні конвої, церква, увесь наш народ. Ми вас не залишимо, а їм не пробачимо. Ви будете вільні. Точно, я знаю, як всі ми на нашій землі. Слава усім нашим героям. Слава Україні!
And as we'll soon be joined by our reporters on the ground, just take a look at this image. It's already day 23. According to Ukraine, they have been able to fight back for as long as possible, trying to give a pushback to the Russian army that is one by one entering into their cities. At this point, remember, it is about for how many days can both Russia and Ukraine go on with the war. The impact clearly on the residents and civilians. Residential buildings continues to be a persistent target of Russians despite International Court of Justice order. Now, in the wee hours of day 23 of the invasion, residential complex was bombed in the capital city of Kyiv. Take a look at these horrific visuals coming in from the ground. Let's go across directly now to Maria Pysarenko in Ukraine. She's been constantly updating us with the latest. This time, whether there are different sporting legends, for example, who have come across, are looking at the world. Arnold Schwarzenegger also, Maria, has sent out an appeal. So, of course, it does appear that the world is getting together. But is the impact seen on the ground of that? Maria, if you can hear me. All right, we'll just try and get that audio connection back with Maria Pysarenko. Remember, it's no ordinary location at this point. Day 23 of a war in her country. And of course, at this point, as we can see, there are gutted buildings. The remaining aspect of the administration with firefighters trying as much as possible, rushing from one location to another to douse these flames. The government is claiming that civilians, women and children are also not being spared. Civilian targets are also coming under the radar of the Russian army and the Russian attacks. There are drones that are also being added. And what initially appeared to be probably a week of war has already now stretched up to 23 days with no end in sight. So while the US administration and other countries are appealing and asking Ukraine to stop the war, at this point, the situation has changed a lot for Ukraine. Just about a month ago, Ukraine was a bustling country. Today, many parts across cities in Ukraine are in ruins. Let me take you one by one in different cities and how does the change look like. We're talking about gutted houses and buildings as well. Take a look at this image. One of the largest markets in Eastern Europe is Barbashovo. It was shelled by the Russian military. Look how massive and bustling it appeared, it looked like, but the massive shellings have now completely damaged the building. Massive fire raging on in multiple shops, plumes of black smoke engulfing the entire market. The outskirts of Kyiv city is Vyshegod, painting a devastating picture now. How bustling it looked like any other city across the world. But now this town is witnessing relentless shelling in the past few days. Massive fire, even of private sector, commercial, industrial establishments ablaze. Firefighting rescue operation in full swing. Maria Pysarenko now joins us. Maria, I was just showing the before and after images, and it's very disturbing to see how much has changed for Ukraine in just 1 month. But with the US administration pushing and asking Russia to stop the war, Arnold Schwarzenegger and many other legendary voices are coming out in support for Ukraine. But is there impact of it on the ground, Maria?
I would say rather no, because the shelling and bombing continues, and it has been already the fourth day in a row when we wake up at about 5 o'clock a.m. here in Kyiv because of the sounds of explosions. And it is surprisingly terrible to see the sounds, these sounds of explosions. The explosions and Russian missiles are targeting Kyiv city just at the same time every day. So it's 5 o'clock, a little bit earlier or later, maybe 6, but 5 o'clock is kind of, you know, the time, some special time for Russians, because the war has started at 5 o'clock on 24th of February, and the shelling of Kyiv continue every day in the morning at 5 or around this time. So, and also today we woke up to the news that not only Kyiv was targeted, and the hit missiles, the debris of the missile ruined one of the residential cities in Podilsky district, but also to the news that Lviv area was also targeted, and Lviv is far away to the west, closer to the border with NATO, closer to the European Union. And the Lviv mayor told that the car factory was hit by the Russian missiles. So we see that Russians are just now trying to fire whatever they can to all the directions they can, and that is really scary because of course all the words of support we hear from the world community, from politicians, from public figures such as Mr. Schwarzenegger, some Hollywood stars.
Maria, I request you to please stay on with me for just about a second. I'm also now joined by Rajesh Pawar. Rajesh, if you can hear me, at this point, it's so important to understand that while it appears that world is coming together in support of Ukraine, asking Russia to at least stop the war, even Arnold Schwarzenegger has released a video. Is there an impact of these messages on the ground? Because it's day 23. I don't see, as it appears, the war is coming suddenly to a close anytime soon.
Look, Pooja, the world is coming together and Americans are making statements.
Yes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is also an American. Let me remind you, he was a governor of California. So these are all American politicians and politicians from the West who are coming together and giving these statements. Have you heard any statement coming from Russian allies? No, because when we are talking today of world coming together or the international opinion or international support, it is a handful of countries which are America and its allies, Canada, Australia, Western Europe. Rest of the world is not really speaking about it. Having said that, I do agree with you that this war is going in the wrong direction. There are civilian casualties, civilian infrastructure has been hit, and this is very unfortunate and very tragic. As far as Kyiv is concerned, as your previous speaker is saying, I am in the center of Kyiv. 48 hours now, there has been no missile attack or rocket attack or air attack on the Kyiv city proper for last 48 hours. Over to you, Pooja.
How good do you think that could be a sign, Rajesh? The fact that if you cannot, for several hours, not have that shelling and that attack on, should that be in any way considered a positive update?
No, it is not positive in any way. It is just that people have got a little respite for these 2 days, not because Russia wanted to stop the war. It is because what Ukrainian intelligence was saying a few days back, they have run out of supplies and ammunition. And that is the reason there is a little pause in the military operations. And they are beefing up right now as we speak with the supplies, with ammunition, with spare parts. And as soon as they are adequately stocked up, the offensive will resume. Pooja.
Stay on with me, Rajesh, please, because Maria, I want to ask you this, that, whenever the war does come to an end, it will be about rebuilding Ukraine. There are already so many areas across Ukraine that are completely in ruins right now. So, of course, at this point, that's also a responsibility that Ukraine is looking at as and when the war comes to an end.
You're right, and as we've seen the reports of the officials of this week, that Mariupol city, for example, which is in the south of Ukraine, is destroyed to 90%. So you can imagine 90% of the city is destroyed. There are almost no buildings which hasn't suffered the bombing, shelling, or ruining because of the debris of missiles. So 90% of the city, and Mariupol is not a small city, it's not a town, it's the city where the industrial infrastructure was situated, and the Azovstal factory is now just in ruins. This is what we hear from the officials saying, and the same situation also in Kharkiv. Kharkiv was heavily bombed. We see smaller cities such as Okhtyrka, Izium, which are already also targeted by Russian missiles. They are destroyed. We see Borodyanka, Makariv, which have been also targeted with missiles, straight buildings, such residential buildings which you can see just in the background of me in central Kyiv. The same ones were targeting in Borodyanka, high-rise residential areas, not the military base. And according to the government of Ukraine and Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal, the damage which has been done by Russians to Ukraine is already more than $500 billion. So this is something the Ukrainians should have the compensation from Russia. And already now the experts here and people who are capable.
And will that at all happen? Will Russia even agree to that, Maria, is an important question. Rajesh, what happens now? Every day we discuss what's going to happen tomorrow. But my point is, it's already been day 23. Exhaustion levels must be high. The world is watching. Till when can this war go on?
Look, Pooja, this war will go on till the time there's a resolution of main issues between Ukraine and Russia. It might take weeks, it might take months, I do not know. But I am sure of this, till the time Russia achieves its objectives for which this war was started, that is to get some kind of guarantee from Ukraine that they will not join NATO or any military alliance with the West. And secondly, with some kind of resolution on the status of Donbass and Crimea, till the time they don't achieve this, there will be no stoppage of this war from Russian side. And Ukraine right now, irrespective of what they are hearing from Western leaders, Schwarzenegger and Biden and Macron or Chancellor Scholz, it has no meaning. They are not giving what Ukraine wants. It is mere words and humanitarian aids and promise of some money for rebuilding. But where is the actual thing which Ukraine needs? Enforcing the no-fly zone over Ukraine, providing aircraft to Ukraine.
Yes.
There is no move forward in those two areas which Ukraine badly needs. It's mere words right now. Pooja.
A lot of issues need to be considered here for right now and for later as well. And as of now, it all appears to be words. Exactly putting in words what Rajesh is saying is happening. It's just words for now for Ukraine, specifically at this hour. I want to thank you both, Rajesh and Maria Pysarenko. Please stay safe. I'll come back to you in just a short while. How's the war? Ukrainian President Zelensky is trying to keep up the motivation of his people and his country high. And that specifically for fighting the Russian troops for as long as possible. From meeting the injured civilians to soldiers to remaining defiant even on his own demands and releasing videos on it. Zelensky appears to be doing all that he possibly can. Here's more on this story, on this emerging hero, as many are calling him, to the world.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, the man of the hour, keeping the Ukrainian fighting spirit high, is motivating fellow citizens to protect the integrity of the country. The people's leader Zelensky on Thursday visited a family of injured civilians who suffered from shelling in Warsaw city.
Так? Тобто мы оккупировали TikTok?
The Ukrainian president also met personnel of State Emergency Service to thank them for their dedication. Ukrainian cities are reeling under the constant bombardment by Russian hellbirds. But people of the country have refused to bow down. As talks take place, Zelensky has made his demands clear. He wants the war to end, with security guarantees and sovereignty. He wants to ensure Ukraine's territorial integrity with real protection of Kyiv. The results of the talks will depend on how much Ukraine and Russia are willing to yield. Bureau Report, India Today.
As Ukraine continues to fight back, Ukrainian boxing legend Vladimir Klitschko has now vowed to fight against mighty Russia. Ukraine, remember, it's growing now its resistance force. And now Olympic gold medalist has called for the isolation of Russia from all sporting events. His brother, Vitaly Klitschko, who is now the mayor of Kyiv, is also fighting alongside his brother Vladimir. Take a look at this report of how one by one, even sporting legends are coming across and taking on Russia.
Former professional boxer, Olympic gold medalist, two-time world heavyweight champion. Ukrainian boxing legend Vladimir Klitschko has now vowed to fight against mighty Russia. The 45-year-old has called for the isolation of Russia from all sporting events. Hall of Fame Vladimir says he will defend his country till his last breath.
This is our home. This is our home. Yes, there are a lot of refugees left towards west, but a lot are coming back. So the families were brought to the west, part of it, and a lot of men and women. I'm proud of our women standing strong, coming back, defending the country. This is our home.
He is not the only member of his family who is taking on Putin.
Bullshit. Sorry. Where is military target? This building is military target?
Vitaly Klitschko, who was undefeated WBC heavyweight champion and now the mayor of Kyiv, is also fighting alongside his brother Vladimir. Vitaly Klitschko has been mayor of Kyiv since 2014.
We will be defend our city. It's our homes. We don't have we never think to leave. It's our homes. We defend our children, family, our buildings, our city, and our future of Ukraine.
Klitschko brothers had also enlisted themselves earlier this month into the Ukrainian Reserve Army. The two big men standing shoulder to shoulder are in a fight unlike any they ever imagined. The prize for this one is not a championship belt, but the survival of their country itself. Bureau Report, India Today.